how do we position things so that they start to see us as being a value proposition to fix the problem, as opposed to being a vendor of CVs to help them to be able to fill some jobs.
Good afternoon and welcome to episode 18 of Recruiting Alchemy. Today's guest is a industry legend. Although you and I don't know each other all that well,
no,
but everyone that I ever speak to sort of fawns over you. So you're obviously doing something right. Jeremy Snell, L&D something extraordinaire. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fellow Staffordshire man.
Yes.
We'll get onto that in a moment.
Yeah.
But you've travelled from the heart of the UK.
I have.
To where the streets are paved with gold today.
Indeed.
Down in London. So thank you very much for making the effort. I do really appreciate it. Welcome to the studio.
Let's do this.
Recruiting Alchemy is a show for recruitment leaders and CEOs who are often looking for insight, inspiration, explanation on the secret sauce stroke alchemy that helps some organizations, really, power on. And you've got a better vantage point than most. So I think I'm really interested in hearing your points of view on, what you're seeing out there in the world today in what has got to be the fastest changing recruitment landscape we've possibly ever seen.
100%.
So I think everyone will be interested in your point of view. But we start every episode with the same format, which is the two beginnings. The first is the origin of Jeremy Snell. The second is, I guess, the moment that you decided that you were going to be your own man, run your own company. We'll talk about that secondly. But for the benefit of my listeners and our listeners, where did it all begin?
Where did life begin?
Well, as far back as you want.
I'll go back to the very beginning. I was born in New York.
Were you?
Yeah. Boston, Massachusetts, New York State.
Right.
I'm the son of research chemists who were working in America in the 70s. And
British research chemists?
British.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were expats based in the US. I was born in America. And at that point, they decided to come back to the UK so that I would get a British education.
Right.
So they came back to life science businesses in London.
Right.
So I came to London, went to school in London. We then moved to Newcastle upon Tyne, changed schools twice, came back to London again. So I think part of the formation of me was, changing schools so many to always being the new kid, not as the intake in a school, but everyone else knew each other. Here's the new kid in the second year. Here's the new kid in the third year. Here's the new kid in the fourth year. So like moving around a little bit, I think was kind of character forming, And then from school, I tried to follow the family path to go into science. I did microbiology at university.
Right.
It just so wasn't me.
I think I understand what microbiology is, but I wouldn't know what separates biology and microbiology.
Little biology.
Right? Tiny biology.
Viruses and bacteria. So I tried really hard to follow the family line, but it just so wasn't me that I ended up in the wine trade. I became a wine taster. There was a job advertised on Capital Radio in London,
right,
for someone to join a wine business in Lamb's Conduit Street.
Right.
And the guy who read it out on the radio had just pulled it off the job board saying, this sounds like a really good job. And they're going to get loads of applicants. So I heard it and I went down and chucked my hat in the ring and blagged the job in the wine trade.
Wow.
And I did that for a couple of years.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Were you a wine enthusiast, or was it just a job?
Well, having left microbiology, understanding things like fermentation, there was a science to it, right?
The chemistry of wine and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the
Is it chemistry?
Yeah.
It's probably a version of it.
Yeah, viticulture and vinification, I think, is the posh words for it.
Right.
But I decided rather than following the path that had been laid out for me as a scientist and not doing it, I decided, what do I enjoy in life?
Yeah.
And one of the things I enjoyed in life was having a drink and being social.
Yeah.
So it just felt serendipitous that this was on the radio. So I applied for it. I went through an interview process. They sent me to college. I did my wine examinations.
Right.
My wine tastings were every Tuesday evening on Tooley Street. It was the beginning of the more social release of who I am. And I
just sort of going back a bit to your childhood. Well, you came from New York to the UK at what age?
2.
Okay, so you didn't have an American accent.
No.
New York.
No.
Sorry. The reason I say that is I have a bit of this nomadic kind of moving around thing in me where you're always a bit the outsider.
Yeah.
Which I think is used to describe it's character forming.
Yes.
It's incredibly, when you meet children and they're often the children of military or oil and gas or that kind of, those kind of people, they're constantly moving around.
Yeah.
It builds up a sense of resilience in your, because you're constantly having to learn how to make friends.
Yes.
New friends again.
Exactly.
Is that something that you think back on served you well?
Hugely.
Yeah.
You had to turn up in Newcastle upon Tyne as the new kid in a school that was full of Geordie kids, as the only person with a London accent.
Yeah.
To then adapt to life in Newcastle upon Tyne, to develop a really strong Geordie accent, and then go back to London to be then in a school in London as the only Geordie. Just that whole
permanently the outsider.
Yeah, being the outsider and finding a pathway to be comfortable with being the outsider and creating friendship circles and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hyper character building.
Yeah, for sure. So microbiology not for you. Wine tasting was sounds
fun.
Like a bit more up your street.
Totally. It was challenging. Getting up every day, tasting 300 wines a day.
And do you know what? When you say wine tasting, for who? A company that makes wine or a company that sells wine? A restaurant?
So I worked for a business that bought bankrupt wine stock. So I would go to bonded warehouses,
right?
Taste wines that were in bonded warehouse that someone hadn't paid their bills for.
Right.
I would taste it, put a valuation on it, put an offer in to buy it, and then we would sell it.
And we being a sort of broker intermediary firm.
Yeah, so there was a guy who had worked in private equity, who'd bought a wine business that was a chain of shops. He worked with another guy who had the contacts which were in the bonded warehouses, and I worked for a business that they'd acquired. So I'd just got this job working in wines, and they bought the business and asked me to just travel the country and go to Sotheby's and to Christie's to buy wines, to then bring it back into the retail environment, or to sell it to high net worth individuals who were interested in Burgundies or Clarets or whatever the wine was. So it was kind of like an entrepreneur who had decided to buy this business with an idea of generating a big retail chain, and it ended up overtrading. And as it overtraded, the business shut down. And in my last day, I was given the keys to one of the vans and just told, fill it with whatever you want and don't come back. Like that was like my redundancy.
Keep
package.
the van as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a van and some wine.
Off you go
wherever you want. And the guy who owned it disappeared to the Pyrenees.
Oh, really? And that was the end of it?
Yeah, that was the end of that.
And did you get a good truckload of wine?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I got a good 300-400 bottles of nice wine.
And I'm not a wine drinker. I don't mind a glass of wine, but I'm not somebody you describe as a lover of wine. But some people really love wine.
Yeah.
Would you put yourself in that camp?
No.
No.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I could recognize what good was.
Yeah.
And for a while it spoilt my palate. It was difficult to drink wine having spent so long
tasting it
that I would drink anything apart from wine just to be able to escape it.
And to this day, could you tell a Pinot Noir from a Burgundy?
Yeah.
You could.
Well, Burgundy is Pinot Noir.
Is it? There you go, mate. There you go. Revealed. Yeah. I've been outed.
But yes, I get the theory.
You get
I
the
most
theory.
definitely could.
God.
Yes, yeah, I can still recognise which grape varieties and often vintages I'm tasting.
Because to be honest, when somebody brings a wine menu, I'm just like, somebody else choose, because I wouldn't have a clue. Literally wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, I'm the guy that people push the wine menu to, saying you pick.
You pick, yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of escaped it because of that redundancy.
Right. So so the choice was taken out of your hands essentially.
Yeah. And I just took that moment to decompress. So I went to Ibiza.
Right.
I worked in Ibiza.
What a place to decompress.
I went to Ibiza to decompress, to get some sun, to work.
Yeah.
And I did 8 months working in Ibiza.
Right.
To then come back to get into recruitment.
Okay. We'll do a little bit on Ibiza because it's important. Sure. So 8 months, best 8 months of your life, or not quite?
No, I think the best 8 months is yet to come.
Right.
But a very enjoyable 8 months.
I like that. The only reason I say that is I went to Ibiza and I was 17, 18? Do you remember Club 1830?
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's around anymore.
No.
And anyway, I went there and there was these reps there. They were a good bit older than us. We were like 80. They were probably 22, 23, 24, 25. And mate, I was like, they look like they're having the best time ever. Yeah. And the minute I left there, I was just like, I've got to be a Club 1830s rep in Ibiza at least one season. Never made it. And then went off the idea. I went a few more lads holidays. I was like, actually, no, I don't need that in my life. But I remember that year, it looked pretty epic. A season in Ibiza. Not quite sure it's got quite the same vibe these days. So back from Ibiza into recruitment.
Yeah.
Accident or design?
Accident.
Yeah. Knew someone?
Picked up the Evening Standard when I got to Gatwick. So I was travelling from Gatwick to family home in Barnet. There was a little lineage advert saying, do you like talking to people?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy working hard? Telephone number. And then in little brackets afterwards, it said AGY. And I wasn't quite sure what Aggie meant. Right. But I phoned it and ended up having an interview with this agency in Wood Green.
Right.
And
Wood Green.
Wood Green, yeah.
What a nice place.
Wood Green High Street. in an office that was over the top of a butcher's.
Yeah. Sounds
pretty standard.
Yeah.
You know those glass doors that you have on the high street, and you can see there's a set of stairs that goes up, and you wonder where they go.
Above a shop.
It went into a 3-story recruitment agency.
And I'm assuming you knew nothing about recruitment.
Zip.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing.
And went in, got offered, took the job.
Got offered, took the job. It was industrial, catering, care, 7 a.m. start.
Temp, locum stuff, like
all local temp based work. Yeah. I started in industrial, warehouse operatives, that kind of thing. Yeah. I think they liked the way that I was just turn up, do the hard work, and don't moan about things. Yeah. So they asked me to start a division in care. Right. They said there's lots of care homes around here. Yeah. There's plenty of hospitals. Just start phoning them, find out how they hire people, because it must be 24/7, and there's a lot of money in something that's 24/7. So it's kind of like a proper business plan on a Rizzler. Yeah. Phone book, ashtray, go. Yeah. And I loved it. And, just starting with nothing. Yeah. Pick up the phone, talk to some people, go out and do some meetings, find some temps. Yeah. And in my first 6 months, it took me 6 months to get to about 160 temps out from a cold start. Just you managing running 160 temps? Yeah. With a paper timesheet, and I had to do the payroll. Wow. So they'd all come in on a Friday with their timesheets, or put them through at the weekend, and then Monday I'd making good margins. It's a lot of runners. Margins weren't brilliant. I was probably averaging £2 an hour. Yeah. Didn't really know any different. Yeah. It was the crack. So temp, kind of high volume temp. Yeah. Was your apprenticeship, if you like, in the industry. Yeah. How did that inform the next part of your journey? Because doing my research before you came, obviously you've worked in some big businesses and some small ones, but obviously some big companies. Yeah. Tell me about how that first job guided you through your career. I think what the first job gave me exposure to was just like organized chaos. Yeah. Absolute control of your own destiny. Like two of my mates who I went to school with, one became a trainee solicitor who's now a partner in a magic law firm.
Yeah.
Another became a trainee accountant. He's now an FD working for a management consultancy firm. But they both started in very regimented, very structured, very prescriptive jobs. And how they used to talk about work and the things that they would moan about was very different to, I couldn't relate to it because they were putting in a timesheet at the end of the week to talk about their billable hours.
Yeah.
And I was doing whatever to a point, right? Doing whatever I wanted, like just grow the desk. Yeah. And that was kind of end of training. Grow the desk, keep doing what you're doing. It looks as though it's going really well. So you'd come in every day and just, what shall I do today?
Yeah.
Pick your own priorities. So it kind of, it helped me to become self-sufficient whilst in employment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And I think I was lucky that at the time my manager was very hands-off. That's probably the politest way to put it. Which meant if I didn't know what to do, it probably would have been really difficult. Yeah. But it was just always finding something that felt as though it was an action or an activity or a thing that got me closer to growing my temp book. Yeah. And I just liked that. I liked not having a managing manager. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And I always think that there comes a moment in your recruitment career where you sort of decide whether you're in. You know what I mean? It's normally about a year, maybe two. Yeah. You're either like, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to go to Australia, I'm going to, I don't know, whatever, I'm going to be a microbiologist. Yeah. Or you're like, nah, fucking, this is a bit of me, I'm doubling down, I'm going all in. How old were you when you had that moment, if it ever came?
To double down and go all in?
Just where you just like realised that recruitment was the career you were going to make a go of.
First 6 months that I was working in Wood Green.
So you just knew straight away it was for you?
Yeah, it was just so clear that this was challenging, rewarding, so much control of my own destiny. Yeah. And I could feel the hard work. Like the hard work was the calorie bit. Yeah. And I wasn't afraid of the hard work. Like I came back from working 7 days a week in Ibiza whilst everyone's there for the best 2 weeks of their life, joining in with that and working. Yeah. It didn't actually feel like it was a grind. Yeah. And what was the grind actually was quite an enjoyable process because you could feel something building. You could see what was being created because of the choices that you made. Yeah. And I found that really inspiring.
Understood. And we won't cover every role you've had in your career, but I guess give us a flavour of that chapter where you've moved through, there was Hayes and Adecco and others. Yeah. And look, outside of being the owner of the most famous beard in recruitment, you are probably the most well-known L&D guru, person, leader, consultant in our space. So I guess what I'm interested is, do you remember the moment where you decided that was the angle or the path you were going to take? Or was it more by accident than by design?
I think almost every step has been at that moment a decision that was made quite quickly without it being linked to some kind of like North Star destiny plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It was never a master plan.
No. Yeah. And I still don't feel like I have a master plan. Yeah. I moved out of London to go north. Yeah. Because I'd met someone from Staffordshire. Yeah. Which drags me to Staffordshire. Yeah. Stayed in recruitment, but I went from high volume temp to doing exec search in engineering across Europe. And I just found that shift to do something that was operating at a higher level created a new kind of stimulus and a bit more sophistication, right? Yeah. And I liked the new challenge that was involved in that. Yeah. So I went from building a temp desk to doing 100% retained recruitment. Right. On the flip of the coin.
I mean, that is like the other end of the market.
It is, yeah.
And did you go, right, this is
totally.
This is cool.
I just the difference that I could see in terms of earning potential.
Yeah.
You know,
a different job in it as well.
Totally.
Just a different job.
Really different job, very different mentality, very different source of dopamine. Like the whole thing was just different.
Yeah.
And I look back at life has just always been something new. I think that's what's kept me interested, has been change.
Yeah.
The most consistent thing in my life has been change, and that's what's kept me interested in stuff. Do you know?
Yeah, got it. And then where are you in your career at this point? So you're probably a few years in now. You know what you're doing. You're pretty good at it, I'm assuming. Making a few quid.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing all right out of it.
Totally.
Living in beautiful Staffordshire.
Yeah. I've got a
commuting or not?
I used to.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, you would never find me in Staffordshire because my clients were all over the world. You know, I trained in 24 different countries, different boardrooms, different recruitment agencies.
Yeah.
14,000 people I've trained. COVID hit, very different world post-COVID.
Yeah.
I now have a studio which is on the farm. I do the majority of my work is remote.
Yeah.
I run a platform, Rookie to Recruiter, which is the majority of the business interest that I have.
Right.
Which is I call it a training emporium.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity for businesses to plug entire teams into it, to be able to access context-driven content.
Yeah.
And then I do 4 days per month out, like doing face-to-face, project-orientated L&D type initiatives.
Yeah.
Because that it's about balance now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And who would typically invite you in? Who would be your kind of ICP?
Yeah. Today it's likely to be 20-person to 50-person business who may be on a journey to increase productivity per head as opposed to continuing to scale through additional heads.
Got it.
So chasing increased profit rather than chasing increased employee numbers.
Yeah.
Or it's at the other end of the spectrum, a lot smaller, and those business owners who wants to be very agile and be less than 10 people, but really start to drive something that brings a blend of automation, AI, and human connectivity to start to maximize on what's probably becoming a more future-proof business model. Yeah.
Because look, let's talk about that, because I think that's this kind of GP per head thing is it's a very, very topical issue. So I got into recruitment. I've talked about this in previous episodes. I got into recruitment 2002, right? So it's like 23 years ago. I know, don't look it. 23 years ago. And it was 10 grand a head, 12 grand a head.
Yeah.
That was the yield, right? So 120 to 144 GP per head per annum, probably on a cost base of 40 grand, 50K. So you've got a bit of room for OPEX and a bit of room for profit. And obviously you'd get your outliers doing 500 and 750, and then you'd get your rookies doing 40, and, you'd net out somewhere in the middle. And then obviously all of this technology arrived, right? Started with the CRM, then it was VoIP, then it was LinkedIn, then it was search and match, and it was analytics, and it just, and so on and so forth. Now we're into a whole new world. And if you ask anyone who runs even a medium-sized recruitment business, the yield is just stubbornly stuck at around the same number, despite inflation, going through the roof in that period. And of course, at some point, you have to ask yourself, what's the point, right? What's the point in spending all this money on tech if yield goes nowhere? Then I think you've got the whole AI thing, whatever you want to call that. Do you believe that will have it obviously can, but will it have a meaningful impact on GP per head if deployed properly?
Yeah, it will. The caveat is you're saying if deployed properly, and that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
It's finding a way to be able to deploy it effectively that well adopted AI will help to be able to drive revenue. It's how you augment it. So you have to have real clarity on what are the actual processes that you're following that you're trying to augment, rather than seeing that AI will help you to cover up flawed processes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if you've got poor sales process and you try to use AI or automations combined with AI to try and fix the issue, which is winning clients, it won't make any difference because there's not enough clarity in your business to actually know who is our ideal client.
Yeah.
What are the problems that we're fixing?
Yeah.
How do we make them aware of the fact that the symptoms that they're suffering from can be tracked back to the problems that we fix?
Yeah.
And how do we position things so that they start to see us as being a value proposition to fix the problem, as opposed to being a vendor of CVs to help them to be able to fill some jobs?
Yeah. And I know the answer is who knows, but how do you do that? I mean, what are the solutions that people you see that work well in those kind of scenarios? Is it just sales fundamentals, or does it burn deeper than that?
Like it's the real foundation stones of the sales fundamentals that are often lacking, which means anything you try and build on it just becomes rocky and wobbly.
Yeah.
That I'll talk to business owners about who's your ideal client. And they start a descriptor of client A, and then it morphs into being client B, and then it starts to get diluted to pretty much anyone who recruits for Java engineers, right? Or anyone who's in the United States that's a life science business that is looking to scale. You know, it starts to, it tries to become tighter, but there's always this get out of jail free card that it gets widened out.
Yeah.
And helping people to understand that we call it an ideal client because it should dismiss 80% of your sellable audience.
Yeah.
And that doesn't appear very often in the sales plans and sales strategies that business owners share with me when we first start working together.
Yeah. Because they haven't thought about it, haven't been successful implementing a strategy, just need a bit of a sounding board to come in and help them along the way, or a bit of everything like that?
They've thought about it. However, they've thought about it for long enough to feel as though they've got it and it becomes good enough.
Yeah.
But good enough doesn't become particularly scalable to help you to properly target the right people in the right businesses on the right day about the right subject. And when you do that, life gets really easy.
Yeah.
It's just an algorithm. Like success in this business is a combination of, are you willing to put the calories in?
Yeah.
And if you're willing to put the calories in and you point them in the right direction, are you willing to put the calories in for long enough and point them in the right direction that you arrive at a point of getting the return on investment? And most people give up.
Yeah.
They hit the wall of doubt.
Yeah.
They flick market, or they broaden it, or they decide to start a new territory because someone else has told them there's gold in them hills. And they've got a shovel. Yeah. But they like scratch the surface and I can't find any gold.
And then they move on.
And then they move on to somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, that I think is, if there's one endemic, I mean, look, I've done it before, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that I'm not guilty. But you put somebody on a market because you think it's a good market. You put them on the market on their own. Yeah. Right. So they, there's no measure of whether they're, they do 3 or 6 months. It hasn't quite worked. So you just move on. Yeah. Oh, no, do you know what? Come and do this market instead. And in the end, it's just like a hiding to nothing. Yes. Because you are, you're doing it's the very worst thing you can do, which is, piss poor planning prevents, or whatever you call it, right? The PPPP thing, a lack of planning and preparation, and then a failure to dig in when the going gets tough. Yeah. And then you end up having just wasted a shit ton of time and money for no return. Yeah. When, you would, that the guys in the Channel Tunnel with the pickaxe and they're just, one more hit and you're through to France, but you just give up just before you break, you break through. So let's talk a bit about your vantage point. So you work with all sorts of different companies and have done for a long, long time. The world, as we discussed, is changing at pace. What does the industry look like today? And I mean today, not this year. What are you seeing? And I'll give you some context. Is the stories that I hear, which is, and bearing in mind we're shooting this in towards the end of 2025, and it's been a very, very challenging 2 years. There's just no getting away from that. Unless you're in some very specific niche pockets, the odds are that your business is smaller today than it was 2 years ago.
Yep.
I'm hearing people say that things are improving, and I don't know whether that's just because they can't keep saying things are crap. The listed quoted companies' results do not reflect a material improvement in conditions, and they typically are the bellwethers that show us where the market's going. We've got a budget coming up next week. This week, is it? Yeah, we've got a budget coming up this week. Economic confidence is fairly low. What are you seeing out there in the wild?
Super fragmented. That there are businesses who are doing well despite all of the things that you've described, and there are businesses who are suffering, partly because I think they're over focusing on the things that you've described. Like when you focus on the things that are actually in your control, and you're looking to, like at a desk level, you're looking to achieve a certain level of billings, or as a business, you're looking to achieve a certain level of revenue and profit. Most marketplaces are viable enough to be able to deliver that to you. It just becomes more difficult as the business gets bigger to start to be able to make that consistent, because you're relying on things like mood and like people's actual mood when they turn up for work. I think there is a lot of pressure on the recruitment industry because how people are buying recruitment today is different to how they were buying it 3 years ago, 4 years ago. There is a different requirement now because post pandemic, in the shadow of the pandemic, those first 2 years when everyone was doing really well, most client wins were on the back of necessity for the client, not attraction of the agency. If you had a good candidate, PSLs didn't matter. If you had a good candidate and you could get them an interview with me, then we'd agree some terms, you'd make a placement, you'd have an account, you'd chalk it up on the board. And it gave people a full sense of what is selling. And as the marketplace became more challenged, a lot of people were in denial about the fact that it was a lack of sales capability. They would blame their market. So the market shifted. The clients are different. They're doing something else. We'll wait. And waiting isn't a great way to build a strategy to start to come out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does,
So those businesses who recognize, we need to redefine our positioning. We need to redefine our value proposition. We need to redefine how we engage with our prospects. Those are the ones who are doing well. So you can have two businesses in the same market. One slightly depressed, looking in their belly button for the answers, and the other one chalking up good deals.
You mentioned that your business is called Rookie to Recruiter. Is it your observation that the rookie intake has dried up? Are we, as an industry, are we still bringing in new talent, or is it just a merry-go-round of, I used to work here, now I work there?
It's certainly dried up for a lot of this year. Because there was, like, this is the irony of it, right? There was an increase in mobility of experienced recruiters who perhaps had started to realize that there were challenges that they might associate with desk or business or market, and therefore become mobile. Trying to find the new pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, right? So if I leave this market to go to that market, life will be better because I know I'm good because I used to bill really well, and billings aren't great. So I'm going to say it's a sector thing. It's my employer. Or,
it's this place.
The blame thing, right?
It's everyone but me.
So there was a good 6 month window where that mobility of people we saw experienced consultants moving and not necessarily bringing with them the results that were hoped based upon the pay slips that they were showing from the past, because the past isn't always an indicator of the future.
Got it.
And now there are multiple businesses who I work with who recognize that actually if we want to find people who can succeed in this market, it's quicker to bring people in who know no different than to try and, I don't know, like remold tires and try and retread someone else's experienced consultants. So there was a good period of time where it dropped off, but I think it's back.
And in terms of on a kind of anecdotal leadership level, if look, I own an AI software company, right? So my view is that I pitch recruitment leaders all day on the productivity angle. I say, look, we will help your recruiters save X number of hours per day. And the question always comes back to the same thing. Well, what will they do with the time that we give them back? And of course that becomes, are they just going to have an easier life? Are they going to have more coffee? Are they going to have more, a longer lunch? But the idea is, of course, we want them to do more of the work they enjoy, which is about relationship building, sales, consulting, making an impact rather than updating the CRM, writing up candidate briefings, writing up client job specs, that kind of thing. And we think that that's what people want to do, right? They didn't get into recruitment to do admin. They got into it to do sales and whatever. Do you have a view on is there a burning desire still out there for this to be a sales job? And if so, is that the right mindset that a successful recruiter should have, that it's first and foremost a sales job?
I think it's a sales job. 100%. Do I think there is a desire? I don't think there are many people who go home saying, I wish I'd have spent more time cold calling today. Or I wish I'd spent more time talking to people who didn't want to talk to me today, I think people can go home feeling frustrated. I wish I had better clients. I wish I had more jobs. I wish I had more billable moments during my week or my day. I don't think they automatically think, so therefore I should want to do more BD. And I think they then go on a quest looking for the tool that removes the need to do the BD piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Like I go back to 1997 when I joined Humana International. We had to do 2.5 hours on the phone in the morning, 2.5 hours on the phone in the afternoon.
Outbound.
God,
that's numbers.
And anything that you didn't do in the morning got added onto the afternoon, and anything that you didn't do in the afternoon got added to the next morning. So it was reconciled at lunchtime, reconciled at end of day. So we had to do 5 hours a day of outbound. And that's 1997, so there was less distractions. It was like, what else am I going to do? I'm going to watch.
I've got a computer and a phone.
And an ashtray.
Still smoking in the office.
So that whole kind of model fed the need, just be on the phone, just be talking to people. This is a human contact sport, right? And then as different bits of technology turned up, it created distractions and it created excuses. And a generation of people came through where, whether you like it or not, the number of minutes that you do outbound has an impact on your productivity. And today, consultants struggle to get past 2 hours in many businesses. And some they struggle to get past 1 hour. In businesses that claim our business is all about relationships. It's all about building relationships with clients and with candidates. But for 8 hours a day, we're not quite sure what everyone's doing. But I don't think it's admin. I don't think there's now 8 hours of admin in the day. I think there are multiple distractions. There is maybe a little more administrative work for people to do, but I don't think it's meant that we can't do 5 hours of outbound a day.
I was reading I'll get it up, but it was some guy on Twitter talking about Silicon Valley, and he basically saying, if you don't know what to do, just do anything, right? Even if it's the wrong thing, because you'll start to get data that will show you where the right things to do might be. And I feel like that's often where it's that paralysis around, but I don't have a plan and I don't know what to do. So what I'll do is I'll do nothing, and then I'll busy myself doing this stuff that makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I'll use your vet analogy, right? I'll go and I'll wash this dog for the 4th time rather than put down this cat over here because this is nice and that's not. And I think that is what I've kind of witnessed in a lot of companies that I've worked with over the last few years is, they're just locked in this kind of paralysis of activity or lack of activity. And in the end, it's easier to do nothing than to do the wrong thing.
Yeah. And you ultimately endorse what you're willing to accept in your business.
Yes.
And
I mean, that's it. You whatever behavior it is that is slipped below the line of acceptability, that is not, I'll use the word punished in the nicest possible way, held accountable, that line is just lowered.
Yes.
And that line just gets progressively lower, and people will sink to the minimal that is acceptable.
Yeah.
I remember, somebody once telling me a story about, I think there's a book. I need to, I should stop citing these things that are unreferenced. But it's like the madness of crowds. And if people do insane things when they're in crowds, by virtue or by proxy fact that other people were doing it.
Yeah.
I just stabbed him. I don't know what came over me, but I just threw a chair at him or whatever. And what's going on there is you attempt to get in harmony with your immediate proximity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why if everyone in the business is doing 3 hours a day, then you'll just do 3 hours a day because that's what the norm is.
Yes.
But the minute that 3 hours becomes 2 and then 1, it's the average that gets dragged down, and being the outlier is hard then. Whereas, and that I think is I learned that lesson in my own recruitment business 10 years ago, which is, we were so desperate to be modern, whatever that might mean, and progressive and grown up, that in the end, what it really were was just an average staffing business.
Yeah.
With average numbers and average performers who actually, if anything, were probably capable of a lot more, but we hadn't created the environment in which they could flourish. And we gave them bang average expectations that they basically barely hit.
Yeah. And, I think that this year, when I eventually write a book, I think I'll look back on this year and I'll call it the great compromise of 2025, because so many businesses compromised on performance, compromised on standards, compromised on the definition of a good job, a good client, a good process. And the moment that you compromise on those things, it takes twice as many calories to bring it back to where it was as it did to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's what businesses have struggled with. Trying to bring back standards that we allowed to slip because we felt that conditions or market or things meant we needed to be a little more, I don't know, what would be the word, accommodating.
Yeah. When
actually, if things are slipping, there should be consequences, but the consequences don't have to be like punishment. The consequence could be, we really need to get people in the right headspace here to start to think about what is in their control rather than focused on what isn't. And we'll call that L&D.
Yeah.
You may even call it training, but something that's designed to fuel people rather than make people feel as though they're fundamentally flawed or broken or need fixing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm conscious that our time's coming to an end. I guess, you've been in recruitment for nearly somewhere between 25 and 30 years.
Yeah, more. 32.
So you've seen a lot in that time. There's a few enduring truths about our sector, right? Hard work, graft, attitude, resilience, bounce back ability, running a good process, the things that I think we all are clear on. Is there anything that you would teach your younger self or maybe pass on to somebody joining the industry today that you've that you've been reminded of in the last couple of years when things have been really tough?
The need for consistency. The consistency of just showing up every day and doing something with discipline, even if it's a small amount of things. It's the compound effect of consistency. And if you are ad hoc, if you are inconsistent, if you are ambiguous with what you do, it has a ripple effect for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Whereas if you're consistent with what you do every day, 5 little actions every day would be much better than spiking on a Thursday and doing 20 things, because the return that you get on your own behaviors, your own mindset, and the results that come from just little and often, it's a return that is greater the longer you keep showing up to do the same thing. And if you do 5 things every day, that might be 5 meaningful conversations with future customers. If I do that 5 times every day, very little will happen the first day that I do it. Very little will happen the 4th day that I do it. But maybe by day 13 that I'm doing it, luck shows up. And I speak to the right person on the right day and something happens.
Got it.
The week after, I start to get the return on what I was doing in the first week. If I do the follow-up and start to become consistent with being present with the people that I'm making contact with. And most challenges that I see people have, it's either linked to consistency or discipline, not skill.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure to get to know you a bit more after being passing acquaintances for a few years.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again sometime.
A lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Cheers.
Cheers.